First of
How,
all, there's the technicals, which we used to give a lot of wiggle room to when pandemic was raging, but now most actors should and need to be completely prepared in terms of their technicals, which means having a great background, simple. It doesn't cost a lot of money, guys, to have that. It's, a blue, a gray background. I prefer sort of a bluer background. Dress appropriately, that where there's some contrast, where you have your lighting set up, where you ideally have a good reader reading opposite you, so that you actually create a relationship with that off-camera person who's the other actor in the scene, and that we can hear you. You can be creative these days with props, which you never could be in the past. When I'm coaching actors, I encourage them, if it's appropriate, to use a prop to create their own environment in a way you couldn't before. You had to sort of create in a sterile room for casting, and you're told not to bring any props in except your phone and a pencil, maybe, because they usually get in the way if you use them. Now, if you're in your own living room and want to create that environment, you can do that, and it is much more effective. And even as something radical as having a knife or a gun, you could never do that in the room, but you can do it, and we feel hopefully not threatened at all when we're watching your demo, your self-tape, if you have something that creates a bit more of a sense of reality. So there are a lot of things that I work with actors on to encourage them to create their world that is less imaginary and more really realistic and tactile for them.
what are some of the key takeaways when you're
Yeah. So
mesmerized?
it's really creating your environment as much as you can. And then it's really looking at a scene, even if it's a smaller scene, and breaking that down so that when you start the scene, you have, and now we're getting a little bit in the weeds in terms of technique and training and foundation, but having a strong emotional moment before, or a physical moment that creates uh, creates in the set in the eyes of the casting director of a character that is coming from somewhere, that just doesn't start cold with a line, that has an emotional beat or a physical beat that sort of catapults them into the scene.